Welcome to Marketing and Mindset for Wellness Coaches, the podcast for health coaches and wellness entrepreneurs just like you who are building a business, making the world a healthier place, and designing a first-class life. I'm your host, Kim Foster, MD and certified business coach, and I'm on a mission to help you up-level your strategy and raise your mindset so you can truly thrive and grow your business. Let's get started. Hi, and welcome back. I'm so happy to have you join me here for my second ever episode of my new podcast. So I thought that for this episode, I would pull back the curtain a bit and tell you about my own journey. So this is my own story of what brought me from my career as a family doctor to being a coach. So I received my MD in 1997, and after I graduated, I did my residency in family medicine, and then I began working in clinical medicine after that. So, I had a good career as a family doctor, a great career, even at least from the outside. But when things started to shift for me big time, and this was about 12 years into practice, for years I had been having inklings that I was on the wrong path, and I really tried to ignore those inklings. I ignored my intuition. I was a doctor. I had achieved on paper what many people really have would want to achieve. And what more could I want? But the truth was, I was really burned out. I was disillusioned and frustrated with the medical system. And also at this point, I was also a mom, which means that my priorities had shifted. I had a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old. But also, I was done with the limitations of the traditional healthcare model, and I was, like I say, really burned out. I was ready for more freedom and more flexibility, and to be honest, to make a much bigger impact than I could make in the 10-minute appointments that are standard in the medical profession. I also felt like something was missing in my life, something more creative or more soulful or spiritual even. There was kind of an itch that just wasn't being satisfied by my sensible career in medicine. As a kid, my bookshelves were filled with all kinds of stuff about astrology and dream analysis and handwriting analysis and personality things and fantasy novels. I was always a dreamer. In fact, I actually got in trouble for this. And I was always creative. I was an artist. I loved to paint and to sing and to write, and especially to perform. I was actually very much headed down a right brain path and wanted to be an actress. In high school, performing was my passion, and I was always in the school musical, and I was in TV commercials, always going to auditions and that sort of thing. And then somewhere along the way, in high school, actually, I changed pathways and headed towards a scientific career. So, I was naturally this way, spiritual and creative, but I really had it drummed out of me through my education and my training and through medical school and all of those years that I spent on that pathway. But the trouble is that it caught up with me because this part of me really was withering. I had been ignoring that side of me for a lot of years, and it eventually caught up to me. So the other thing that happened around this time was that I had my own health crisis. Now, I'm sure that I will talk about this much more on future podcasts, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail today. But the bottom line is that I had always been quite healthy, and then suddenly, without warning, I wasn't. And it was a huge wake-up call for me on a number of levels. For one, it served to highlight just how incredibly limited the conventional healthcare system was, and this really pushed me further into the wellness sphere. But also on a more personal level, it really helped me understand that I needed to do something about my lack of fulfillment, that we are not guaranteed any length of time on this earth. And if I wasn't happy in my career and in my calling, in my purpose, that it was time to get off my butt and make the changes that I was so desperate to make. So it was kind of a perfect storm. I was professionally dissatisfied, emotionally at odds with my priorities now that I had kids, and then also from a health perspective, I'd had this big wake-up call. And I really think that I needed those three things together to shift me into action, out of the comfort of my very stable, respected career. The trouble was, I really had no idea what I was going to do in terms of a career. I didn't really have a plan or a direction, and this was a new thing for me. I had always had a plan. But what I knew that I needed to be doing something other than what I was actually doing. So I started with some exploration. I dove headlong into personal development. I really spent the next year tuning into myself, diving into wellness. I discovered the field of positive psychology. So this is the study of happiness, essentially. And this was around the time of that major happiness movement that really took off with books like The Happiness Project and those kinds of things. And I really loved a lot of that stuff. It brought me further down the rabbit hole into even more personal development. And I did a lot more exploration and learning about wellness and learning from some of the gurus that I admired, like Dr. Andrew Weil, and I expanded my understanding of wellness and nutrition way beyond what we are taught in medical school. I also deepened my own yoga practice, and I got myself healthy again. And then after that year of turning inward, I began to make some outward changes, and one of which was changing directions in my career. And that's because I had discovered the world of coaching, health coaching and wellness coaching and life coaching, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and it truly changed everything for me. What happened was a nurse in our clinic was building a career for herself as a health coach, and I worked together with her on various projects. It was really my first introduction to the concept of wellness coaching, and the more that I learned about it, the more I fell in love with the model. I really felt like I could breathe for the first time. It didn't take me long before I realized that this was exactly what I wanted to do myself. I just knew this was the direction I wanted to take my life in. So I began following my own path into coaching. And as I evolved more and more into coaching, I really began building a whole new career and a life for myself. Now, a lot of people said I was crazy to change my career. At best, they were confused. Worse, they would say things like, "Why would you want to throw away all that education?" And when I say people, I mean like relatives, colleagues, close friends, and family, pretty much everybody. Anybody who could see that I was, for some reason trying to scale back on clinical work and seemingly trying to pivot into a new direction and putting more energy into my newfound passion, which was coaching. In fact, to tell you the truth, I really couldn't shake the feeling that people were kind of smirking behind my back. But I did my best to ignore all of that, the overt criticism and the imaginary stuff that I now know was my own limiting beliefs. And I began building a life for myself in wellness and specifically as a wellness coach. Now, truth be told, it wasn't without a lot of bumps and false starts and obstacles and, yes, at times, crippling self-doubt. Because what was I doing? Was this the right path? Was I insane to jump out of a perfectly good airplane without a parachute? It was definitely not a linear progression as I built this career. So at times I would stall and retreat back to what I knew, which was nice and safe, if soul-destroying clinical medicine, until I just couldn't stand it anymore. And then I would try again. I made a lot of mistakes along the way, and I spent a lot of time dabbling when I really should have been all in. But over the long haul, I did keep trying. And then I reached another moment of evolution, because what I eventually began to realize is that while at this point I knew plenty about wellness, I really knew very little about business and marketing. Because the thing is, primary care doctors don't need to promote themselves. It was really never something I had to worry about. In most places that I know about, there's a shortage of physicians. So we just hang a shingle and open a clinic and, we're overrun with patients. I really knew nothing about building a business or being a solopreneur, marketing myself and setting rates for my packages and having sales conversations and all of that stuff. I really had no idea. And I had been trying to figure it all out on my own and just kind of muddling through with some free downloads and watching some webinars and things like that. I guess I figured, how hard can this be? I mean, I can deliver a baby. Surely I can figure out online marketing and how to run a business. I had actually run a business several years prior with my husband. When we moved to Vancouver in 2003, we actually opened and ran a bookstore, just the two of us. So this was a brick and mortar business. But I figured I knew a few things about how to be an entrepreneur and a few things about the practical side of business and the customer journey and all of those pieces. But the truth is, some stuff had changed since those years of running our store. Plus, an online service-based business is a very different thing than a brick and mortar product business. So I soon realized that I knew very little. And if I wanted to make my coaching business a success, I was going to have to learn and I was going to have to get some help. And that is what I did. In fact, I made it my mission and then everything shifted. I was so committed to making this coaching thing a success. I invested a ton of time and energy and, quite frankly, money into learning as much as I could about the business side of coaching and marketing and running an online business. I invested in myself and my business through high-end coaching and training programs like Marie Forleo's B-School and Emily Williams' iHeart Coaching Program and Gina DeVee's Divine Living Academy, and a number of other marketing and business programs with Amy Porterfield and Melissa Griffin and many, many others. I went to some pretty high-end coaching events, really fun and amazing experiences, conferences in LA and New York and Vancouver, just to name a few places. And with all of this, I really began to get a lock on what I was doing. And when I began applying all the things that I had been learning, everything definitely began to gel. I began making money, really good money, and even better, I was happier and more fulfilled than I'd ever been. And over time, I evolved again because what I was discovering is that the whole marketing and business piece of things was so incredibly fun for me. And it kind of seemed like I was pretty good at it. I actually had a lot of people ask me who was writing my copy and who had designed my landing pages. And at that point, I was doing it all myself. So I guess I continued to follow my nose down the path that I was really loving, and I went even deeper with business and marketing and took my training to an even more formal level and became a certified business coach. I began helping other coaches, my fellow health and wellness coaches, to build their businesses. One reason I began doing that is because over the years, I had become such a fan and an advocate of the coaching model, and I could see how much it was helping people in a way that, to be honest, conventional medicine is just not in a position to. And so I found myself on a mission to help more wellness coaches succeed. Because the truth is, as I experienced myself, it is not all that easy to succeed as an entrepreneur. There's a growing community of health and wellness coaches, really wonderful people with the skills and interest in coaching people through the complex journey of lifestyle change. And yet, so many are struggling to find enough clients to grow their business and stay afloat. And that is why I am obsessed with helping health coaches get out there. And like I say, I have made it my mission. You know, I realized that I could have an even bigger impact if I help other health and wellness coaches to get their message out and to grow their businesses and to change more lives. If I can support a coach to grow her business and connect with the people who need her the most, then this is what happens. So more people get the help that they need to improve their own health. The burden on our healthcare system is lessened, and perhaps best of all, that coach builds a career and a life she loves. And that is my reason why. It's really one of my key missions now. For me, it's all about bridging the gap between conventional healthcare and the wellness industry. So my question for you as I get close to wrapping up is, do you want to come on that journey with me? If you're excited to chart a meaningful career path in the wellness field, but you're looking for more support and guidance on how to actually make that happen, then you are absolutely in the right place. I'm obsessed with helping health coaches and wellness entrepreneurs build their businesses and grow their client lists and spark meaningful change in the lives of others. So in this podcast, I'm going to be teaching you everything that I have learned about building a coaching business so you can benefit from all my mistakes and false starts and dead ends, and instead do it right out of the gate. And I am here to tell you that you can design the life you want while improving the lives of others. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode and you're keen to keep building your wellness coaching business, let's start by getting you some more clients. You can download my free guide called 3 Ways to Win New Clients This Week. In this 11-page workbook, I walk you through the simple steps to get you new coaching clients. Just 3 easy things that you can do right away. Visit drkimfoster.com/get new clients to download that workbook for free. That's all for today. I will talk to you in the next episode.